What's up, coaches? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Here is Monday. So we have arrived at our testing week for the deadlift and for the strict press. A important note for tomorrow. You need to bring your A game. The energy and enthusiasm in your class tomorrow is super important. It'll set the tone for some big lifts. It'll create the atmosphere needed to push your athletes. It is very important for a lift like the deadlift, which is a very emotional lift, that the atmosphere and the energy of the class is well higher than normal. We talk about in training not to get emotional with the lifts, and that's true. But tomorrow, that is not true. Tomorrow, we want to get jacked up, fired up. We want people to be yelling, screaming. We want people to get highly emotional in their approach to their lifts. Okay? And that's not true for everyone. That's not true for your newbies and for those that are new to the deadlift. But that's true for our vets that have, put a lot of time in and they're testing their 1 rep or their 8 rep. We want them to get highly emotionally involved, and we want them to get jacked up and set a PR, all right? So you set the tone for that by bringing energy to tomorrow's class. Make sure that you do your research on the T-spine mobility, 2 minutes in that stretch. Watch the YouTube video on that. And then the 25 banded good mornings, we want to emphasize moving slowly and stretching the hamstrings. So the tempo for that 25 good mornings would be something like this. Okay? 1, really big hinge. 2, really big hinge. 3. So that accomplishes 2 things. We're getting some extra strengthening work for the hamstrings. We're also getting some extra active mobility in the hamstrings. That does not have to be with a heavy band. That can be with a light band for the weekly core and mobility. The the general warm-up tomorrow, the goal is to build up and to start to prepare for the deadlift. So we're going to be building to a 1 and 8, or if we're absolutely new, rookies are going to be doing 5 sets of 8. Let me talk about that in a second. Let's go through the warm-up. So 40 jump rope singles, 10 perfect stretch alternating reps. So remember to keep those dynamic. We don't want any static stretching at all preparing for the deadlift. We need tension, and we need to make sure that the perfect stretches are being stepped back and directly into the next one. Step back, directly into the next one. No holding down there. We want to make sure that those stay very, very dynamic. The 10 med ball alternating dead bugs. So make sure you watch the YouTube video that's been provided for you in the outside resources at the bottom of the notes. That'll show you how to perform and how to teach that. I love that movement for preparation in the deadlift. So we have 3 to 5 deadlifts building towards the opening load. So the goal is to start light. This would be just like the normal strength that we've been working through. All right, they're going to be working towards what they would consider the opening load for their testing. So that being said, what I would do is I would go through the options for the deadlift first, so that way they know they have a clear and set path of what they're warming up for. So they understand they're warming up for a 1 rep, an 8 rep, or they're doing 5 sets of 8 at a moderate load. So 25 minutes to establish. Moving on to the testing for tomorrow. We've got vets have an option of doing a 1 rep max deadlift or an 8 rep max deadlift. Yes, when we initially tested, we did an 8 rep max, but I want to give the veterans an option to retest their 1 rep if they'd like to do so. So it's 100% their choice on what they'd like to test tomorrow. The 8 rep max, just remember that the 8 rep max, they don't have a ton of opportunities to actually do heavy sets of 8. What we're talking about is 1 to 2 opportunities to actually get in a really challenging set of 8. So if they're going to be doing that 8 rep max, remind them that they only have 1 to 2 good sets in the tank and to plan accordingly. Working towards a 1 rep max, we're talking about maybe 3 to 5 heavy pulls. Really depending on how heavy you actually deadlift. So 3 to 5 heavy pulls is a good general recommendation, and they need to plan accordingly based on that. So what's the difference between vets and novice? So vets to me are those that have been lifting within the system or outside of the system for 1 year or more. They are those that have a clear understanding of the deadlift. They can execute the deadlift based on muscle memory, and they've established that they can lift heavy in the deadlift safely and effectively. The novice, the 8 rep max deadlift, this would be someone that they've been in classes consistently for the entire strength cycle or the majority of the strength cycle, but they may not be that person that did multiple strength cycles before this. They have little to no experience with lifting before they started CrossFit in the last few months. So someone who's still relatively new to lifting in general, but has been in the gym for the past 2, 3, 4 months, that would be someone I would consider a novice. And then rookies, that's someone, this is their first time actually working the deadlift, or they've been in class for a month or less, and they really don't have any idea on what to expect with their weight, and they're still kind of learning the movement. Then those people are going to be your rookies. They're going to be doing 5 sets of 8 at a moderate load. The word max is not in your vocabulary when you're talking to those people. All we want is for them to put a moderate load on the bar, and they're going to be doing 5 sets of 8 with rest in between. All right. So the workout tomorrow with intended stimulus, this is meant to be something fast that people can do after the deadlift with very little setup or explanation. Not yet. Very little setup and explanation. So we want to be able to hop on the bike, hit the button, and knock this out. So if you have a really big class, you can run 2 heats. It's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It's actually about 4 minutes to run through the Tabata as a whole. So you'd have up to 10 minutes if you needed to run 2 heats. If that's not enough, then you can put people on the rowers, you can put them on the ski ergs to run that reverse Tabata if needed. Bikes are honestly best for the reverse Tabata, but if you need to, plug in the rowers and the ski ergs to serve your people in the allotted amount of class time. All right. Last thing, make sure you celebrate PRs. Really get fired up for people, even if you don't feel like it, you had a bad day, whatever it may be. Let's show some enthusiasm and appreciation for their hard work. So get in there and let them know how much that you appreciate that hard work by showing enthusiasm when they set their PR. All right. If you guys have questions, feedback on the day, I'd love to see PRs all over social media tomorrow. That would be awesome. See y'all.